got a golden smoothie from, I don't even remember what the place is called, but it's on Knickerbocker. But they have you been to that place with me?
Mm-hmm. It's a turmeric smoothie.
Yeah. With like black pepper and other shit. Except it wasn't really mixed well today. There's like chunks in it that I wasn't a fan of, but
it was a chunky smoothie.
It was chunky. They have like that horny goat smoothie. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Does it have horny goat weed in it?
Yeah.
I want to try that. I've always wanted to try that stuff.
I wonder, like, okay, that's like an aphrodisiac, right?
I think it's supposed to be like an herbal Viagra. Like you can get
like horny... it just gives you a boner immediately.
I guess if you're a horny goat, it only works on horny goats.
So
it's like catnip.
So it would give you a boner.
It's like catnip. It only works on cats. Horny goat weed only works on horny goats.
Oh my god. Dude, I would totally smoke a joint of catnip.
You mean a horny goat weed?
Horny goat weed, catnip. I would try it.
Do you think it would be like, smoking is bad for you, obviously.
Yeah.
Smoking nicotine or tobacco, cigarettes, cigars. And I mean, it's bad for a number of reasons, but like obviously some things that you could smoke are less bad. Like vaping may be slightly less bad than smoking.
We should put a fucking disclaimer on this. We're not medical experts.
So, do you think like you could have like a healthy alternative to tobacco by smoking horny goat weed? The Surgeon General recommends.
Maybe, yeah, y'all. Watch there be some fucking like thing on Google being like, if you smoke horny goat weed, you will die or whatever.
Yeah, like Spotify is gonna censor this. Spotify is gonna censor this section of our podcast because it's like spreading misinformation.
We've done the first 3 films in the Friday the 13th franchise, and now we're gonna take a little break from that and review a movie outside of the canon. And then don't you worry, for all you Jason heads, we'll be back next week starting with part 4. But this week we will be doing one of me and Craig's favorite movies of all time, potentially. Waxwork from 1988.
Haley and I first watched this movie, and we had never heard of it before, but we first watched this movie about 3 months ago or something, maybe longer. And because it was just like, we went into it cold, we didn't know anything. Is that the expression?
Yeah.
We went in blind.
Yeah. Where's the went into it cold from?
I'm going in cold. I haven't warmed up yet.
That's what you do. Instead of dipping your toe in, you just go in.
I'm going in cold, baby. So we went in cold and watched Waxwork without even looking it up on our iPhone.
Yeah, we did.
Who would have
I don't
thought?
even think we watched like a trailer or anything.
I like doing that. I always try to do that, but usually people that I'm with are like, no, we're not just going to watch this movie about giant cockroaches without like some trailer or and I'm like, I just want to see the cockroaches. But anyways, that's not this movie. This movie has no cockroaches. Well, at least not
to our knowledge. There might be cockroaches in the final scene, but it's so chaotic that I don't even know. Like, there's a lot to unpack here.
This movie, Waxwork, so you see the poster for the movie on like a streaming service, you see the name, and you think, this is going to be a wax museum horror movie.
Yeah.
That's a thing. There's multiple ones. There's House of Wax, which was remade with Paris Hilton.
That's a classic.
Yeah, but that's an old movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't.
you think that it's gonna be like hot wax being poured onto someone, or
Yeah, like Killer in the Wax Museum. The wax figures are actually alive, and you're gonna be trapped and killed or something.
yeah. This movie is so much more bizarre than that.
Yeah.
There's so much. Okay.
When we first watched this movie, I just remember Haley saying like something along the lines of, "It's like an anthology movie," and I totally got what she meant because there's like many horror movies in this movie.
Yeah, it's very meta. Super meta.
It is very meta. It's like,
yeah.
I think you might have also said it's like a amusement park ride or something.
Dude, it basically is one of the most fun watches ever. It's just like there's just nonstop entertainment on every corner, and I think it's because like anytime I guess like the typical viewer could be like maybe disengaged or whatever, there's like a new completely different scene. It's like a bunch of different movies within the movie, so it's like it is always entertaining because especially the first time you watch it, it's like you're seeing like completely new
worlds,
like,
and
completely.
You're like, what's the next one gonna be?
Yeah.
You're like waiting for to see what happens next.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, basically like going into the background of this, it was written and directed by Anthony Hickox. Hickox? Hickox. Hickox.
Hickox.
He also did Hellraiser 3 and Warlock 2.
Wow. Quite a filmography.
And those are the only ones in his filmography that just seemed familiar to me personally, but
I haven't seen either of them.
I'm sure we'll see his other films besides like Waxwork too, which we should watch.
I've never seen Hellraiser 3, but I gotta say, I heard that every Hellraiser other than the first one is complete trash. Watched the second one not too long ago and loved it. Absolutely loved it. So I'm gonna have to try these other Hellraiser movies.
Hail Razors.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah, brother.
Hellraiser 3? The Hellbound Heart? I actually don't even know if
that does sounds right.
that might be the original novel or something.
And our boy Anthony wrote the script for the film in 3 days.
Which is pretty crazy.
It's honestly wild. There must have been a lot of cocaine involved in this fucking screenplay.
Though, imagine if you had the general concept, like the wax displays, you go into it, that's how you die.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it sort of writes itself.
If you have that, if you have that original concept, then you're just like gotta come up with, all right, what are the different worlds, and then you gotta have the backstory.
Yeah.
And that movie explains it just like that. It shows you Waxwork shows you its concept pretty early on, and then there's a character that just explains
the whole
everything.
Thing towards the end too.
Yeah.
So you're just like, oh, that's what
you're like, okay, there's my reasoning.
Dude, this movie is so fucking sick. Okay, Waxwork we watched the first time on Amazon Prime, but it wasn't on there anymore when we went to rewatch it again with our roommate Hannah. Shout out to Hannah. So we watched it on Tubi, which if you have a Roku TV, that's how you can watch it. But I'm sure you could, I don't know, find it for free somewhere. But I
think it was on Tubi and Plex.
Yeah. So y'all need to get on Plex too. We'll have to talk about Plex another time. Maybe if we ever have Evan on the pod.
Yeah, Evan will be our Plex representative.
Yeah, shout out to Evan. So we were watching like a kind of like mini documentary. Well, I was watching it and Craig went to take a shower. But there was so they were like interviewing like the main actress, like the main girl actress, Deborah Foreman, and the director, and they were like sitting next to each other, and it was like they like literally did date and actually had a really bad breakup. I like Googled this because it was kind of like crazy how friendly they were. They were just like like she was like, yeah, I mean, you know, like we have a really great director. Well, he's not that good. And he was just like, oh, what? I don't know. It was just like really weird to see them be. But this movie, like from that little documentary, looked like such a blast to work on. Like I hope I can one day work on a set like that because it looked like a lot of fucking fun. I guess we'll just go in cold and get right into. Let's start with our.
Cold.
Let's kind of like start with a sort of abridged version of the cast of teens because there's so many. There's a lot of characters in this movie, but I think I can pinpoint like the important ones, and then as we're kind of going through the plot, we'll like say if a new character is important. But the main people you want to know about are Mark, who is like the main dude. He is like a rich, like kind dude. Like he's like a bro kind of, but like you're supposed to like him for some reason.
He has a butler.
Yeah, he has a butler named like literally Jenkins. Like, okay. But the fact that this guy has a butler named Jenkins, like, I feel like definitely
not working class.
He is rich. I think he has, like, a weird absent mother, too. There was, like, some weird scene with, like, her at the beginning being like, I know you hate me, or something. I don't know. It was weird. But...
Or she was, like, talking about what he was eating or something.
Yeah.
It was just like rich people culture.
Yeah.
It was just like a scene in a movie. I feel like you used to see them all the time where it's just like, let's show the main character and like just to show that he's rich in his background, let's just like have his mom there.
Yeah, and she's like in pearls
crazy.
And being a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of gives me the lead from Society vibes a little bit.
Definitely.
It's like a rich kid that doesn't really want to be rich or something, like that doesn't like fit in with being rich, but he's like rich. I don't know. Then we have Sarah, who's the main girl. She's in his friend group, whatever. Then we have China, who is Mark's like kind of girlfriend, but I think they're just like, they just have like a thing because she's definitely fucking other people. Then we have Tony, who is the actor that plays Bobby Briggs from Twin Peaks. He's great.
He's really good.
Love Tony. And love Bobby. And then so they're not teens, for the record. They're college age. They apparently go to only one class, and it's taught by a guy that is a fucking Nazi. So they literally only go to one class about
I think it's just
Nazis. Ironic. It's supposed to be a joke, but it's like...
I think, though, like... he doesn't ever like sympathize with Nazis. Let's just make that clear.
No, would argue that he's kind of like leaning towards
to me
being like Nazis are good. He's literally impersonating Hitler, y'all. Like he's literally like he's doing a bit where it's supposed to be implied that he's like a Nazi, I think.
No, I don't think that's not how I took it. I thought the irony was in that it's a teacher instructing a college course, and he just happens to be teaching about like World War II and fascism and Nazis, and everyone is like watching, like, just like shithead college kids, I guess, and he just comes off as a dictator fascist because of the way he's speaking and the authoritative way he's like presenting the information and like shouting and pointing and that camera angles and everything. Yeah. It's supposed to be like
triumph of the will.
Yeah, wow. Teachers are Nazis.
Yeah. We need to talk about the other characters that are not teens. We'll just list a few. There's a man named David Lincoln, who is the owner of a mysterious waxwork. There is Sir Wilfred, who is a friend of Mark's grandfather. That's it. I mean, there's, like, other people, but, like... Oh, and there's Jenkins, duh. So, the film starts with, like, a pretty intense, cold open, where we see a man's head be shoved in a fireplace, and, then we see some gloved hands picking up mysterious trinkets on the desk.
Trinkets.
And then we like, I think it's like, we just like see the man's like body with his like head in the fire, and then like it goes to the title or whatever. So
in the title font, I'm a big fan of horror movie fonts, like title screens. I would say I always notice them and look for them. And this one is very good.
It's cool.
It's like, it shows up red in this, like, how would you describe that font? Very, like, medieval, pointy looking font. And then it melts into, like, stop motion animation wax dripping letters.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
It is cool.
And the music's playing in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they used a lot of, like, recognizable songs, like classical songs in this movie. I don't remember exactly the opening one, but they do use one. But I know they use like the Swan Ballet one later on, but I just thought that was kind of interesting. But anyways, after the little cold open, we sort of meet our main characters, Mark, China, Sarah. There's two. Okay, so there's Mark, China, Sarah, and Tony. I would say those are like the main four people, and then we have some like B-list friends, Gemma and James, who like aren't around until like the last second, basically. I mean, they're around, but they pussy out of the initial like going to the waxwork thing, and then they kind of are like sort of around, and then like eventually they end up going like towards the end. But they all are like chilling, and China and Sarah ran into this man, fucking David Lincoln, and he was like, he literally looks like fucking Willy Wonka.
Yeah, do you remember his outfit? He's wearing like a gold sash and like a purple suit.
Yeah. Just fucking goofy ass motherfucker is like, want to come to my waxwork? And they're just
No. He's like, well, hello there. Well, hello, I didn't see you there. That's how he talks.
Yeah.
He appears beside them running.
Yeah. And they... he invites them to a midnight showing.
At the waxwork.
And he's like, only bring 6 people.
No more.
And they're like, yeah, that doesn't sound fucking sketchy. And it was so... They, like, turned to, like, look at each other and then, like, looked back and he was completely gone. And, like...
Immediately.
Just to give you a reference of where he's at, they're, like, separated by a little fence and then they're, like... He's, like, at the edge of the yard of the waxwork.
Yeah, there's like a football field between him and the entrance to the waxwork, and he just gone. Disappears in an instant.
I thought that was so fucking funny for some reason.
His performance is very like Tim Curry in like what is that movie? The Worst Witch. Have you ever seen bits of that? It's pretty funny, but it's very like Tim Curry vibe. I think that's the voice reminds me of that. Also, who's the actor who plays Snape?
Oh, fuck.
He reminds me of him too.
Yeah, I totally see that, but I don't remember. He's basically just like every great British actor. Like, he looks like a familiar actor too, but I even looked him up and like... I don't know.
Was he in anything else?
Like, he was, but, like, nothing... Like, I thought it would be, like, a moment where I would see him and be like, oh my god, he's in, like, all of these, like, very notable movies, but, like, it wasn't that type of situation.
Also, Snape was played by Alan Rickman.
Yeah, he died.
Yeah, sad. So, I real quick... want to see what this guy's name... David Lincoln's character was played by David Werner.
He's like, don't change the first name.
He has a very, like, familiar look.
Yeah.
You know?
China is like, yo, I want to do something fun and different tonight. I'm tired of doing the same old bullshit where we're just like, I don't know. I think Gemma... or whatever was like, well, want to all watch a scary movie at my place? And China's like, fuck no. we're going to the fucking waxwork, bitch. Yeah. So they're all like, sure, sounds sketchy, but fun, I guess. So they all go. Gemma and James leave. So it's only China, Sarah, Tony, and Mark go into this waxwork.
So the door opens and they are greeted by a little person butler. He, like, his voice is very squeaky too.
Yeah, like, as if, well, like, one of the characters literally says that he has a helium addiction or something, which is like...
So he opens the door. The door opens and they're greeted by this little person and he says, "Welcome to the Waxwork." Just like that.
And he bows.
Welcome.
He literally, like, does... Okay, the funniest thing about this character is that every time he's on screen, he does, like, this quick bow. Like, they might have, like, sped it up in post or something. He does a super quick bow with a sound effect that's, like, whoosh!
It's like a whipping noise. So...
It's so weird.
To imagine the move, imagine yourself standing up as straight as possible, and then as quickly as you possibly can, bend at the waist, but maintain your stiffness. So you just bend over at the waist as fast as possible and back up. Like you're waving. That's what this guy does.
It is... iconic. And that's exactly the sound. And besides him, there's also like a very giant butler named Junior. Yeah. The group goes in and they look around and they notice that like all of the wax figures are sort of depicting like different horrific scenes.
They pass by like a crazed like axe wielding maniac. They pass by a vampire scene, a werewolf scene.
They pass by
Phantom of the Opera.
Like the Invisible Man.
The Invisible Man was there. There was an alien in a cage.
Like an alien monkey thing?
Yeah, it looked like it.
There was like
zombies.
Yeah, zombies. Just like a lot of very like random but like iconic and notable scenes.
Yeah, you could pick out. I'm sure you could pick out what every single one of these things was referencing.
So they're all like looking around, and Tony is smoking a cigarette, and he drops his lighter in one of the displays. So he like kind of looks around and he's like, oh, well, like I need to get my lighter. It's fine. And we see him walk in and he gets like literally transported. Like he morphs into the exhibit and disappears. And then he's like immediately transported into like a wooded area and he has like a fucking wig on. And he's just like... he's just like talking to himself like, what the fuck? Because it's like literally as if you are like, imagine like we just like walked downstairs from like our living room to our kitchen and we just like ended up like in a completely different like world and wearing like wigs or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like that like change. So he's like, I'm on like drugs. Like he's like, did someone like slip acid in my drink? And then he's like, wait a minute, I forgot I don't drink because he's sober. And like they make a point smoking. Of like, yeah. So he's just kind of like, he convinces himself that he has been like hypnotized or something because he just like, obviously there's no logical explanation for him being in this situation. So he like looks around and he sees a cabin and he goes in and there's like an older man there.
But right before he goes in, like he's talking to himself the entire time. It's really funny. He's just like, well, what the fuck's going on? Wow, there's a house over here. He's like narrating every thought in his head. He's like, do I go to the house or do I go this way? House or this way? House this way. We'll go with the house. Like, that's literally what he says. And then he proceeds to the house. But he's, like, talking throughout the whole thing like he's nervous.
Yeah. This dude is funny as fuck. He's a great actor. It's, like, the same energy as Bobby from Twin Peaks. Like, it is just, Bobby. Like, 110 at all times. Yeah, so he goes in, he's like, what's up? Like, and the guy's like, you need to get out of here or whatever. And he's like, wow, like, rude or whatever.
Yeah.
He, like, was like...
He's like, leave now!
And he's just like, wow, like, you really, like, I get stuck with, like, the one guy that's, like, an asshole or whatever. Like, why couldn't... I don't know. He just, like, was being really funny and... he goes out to, like, he's like, okay, I'm just gonna, like, go get firewood or whatever. And he goes out and he's like, wood, gotta find wood. Like, he's literally...
He's like, why do I gotta find wood? Like, why is he... He's just accepting that... He so quickly accepted that this is it. I guess I'm gonna go in this house. This guy's acting weird. Gonna go get some wood. Like, dude, it's just like, I'd be like, no, dude, I'm not going to get wood. I'm fucking freaking out. I'm in a new dimension.
Yeah, no, I would be crying.
Immediately sob.
I would just immediately cry. Especially after seeing this movie, I'd be like, I know exactly what this is. So he comes back inside. The man is going through some transformative times. He's like...
Things are getting hairy.
He's whipping around. You're a little confused. Yeah. It's so goofy. And eventually, he is completely transformed into a giant werewolf. And our boy Tony is like, what the fuck? And he gets bitten. And then, after he gets bitten, he's like sitting in the corner of the cabin, and like a father and son team comes in and like tries
We're
to
too
fight.
late.
Yeah, tries to fight the werewolf, and first the son tries to like hit him with a fucking chair or whatever while his dad is loading the gun with the silver bullet, and he's like, he hits him with the chair, and the fucking werewolf literally, like, it breaks on his shoulder, and the werewolf does like the like brushing dirt off your shoulder move.
He had to dust his shoulder off.
It was so funny.
That werewolf was like, I'm about to be badass right before I kill these fucking fools.
And then we get I guess technically our first death of the movie, which is this son gets ripped in half by the werewolf.
Which was very gnarly.
Yeah.
Like, watching this movie for the first time, not the most recent time we watched it, but 3 months ago or whatever, I was like not expecting the gore to go to that level. I was like, this is gonna be a light movie. This doesn't seem like it's gonna go like werewolf splitting your body in half from the head down somehow. No, I did not expect that.
Yeah.
It was like gross. And also, I remember when we were watching this, like, you know, werewolf movies, you look for a transformation scene. It's always got crazy practical effects to show someone transforming into a werewolf. There's some great ones. So whenever I see a werewolf, I'm like looking for the transformation scene, and they don't give you one.
Yeah.
And we're like, what the fuck? They're not gonna show it. But then you get to see Tony start to turn. And then he turns back, right? Well, he gets shot and starts to turn back.
No, he just like freezes as like kind of half turned, half not turned.
Oh yeah.
But we do see him start to transform and stuff, which is pretty cool. But yeah, unfortunately Tony gets shot in the stomach by a silver bullet, and then we as the viewer are transported back to the Waxwork, and we see the display, which now has Tony's body in it, where he like was shot and killed. So very interesting shit. We're like immediately like, wow, something nefarious is going on in this Waxwork. And so we are about to see more shit unfold.
And I don't know how they wouldn't notice that right away.
Yeah,
like,
it was
the
small.
Friend, like, if your friend is going into this waxwork, walking around, like, imagine you're in a museum. They're, like, walking around. You're still kind of, like, spatially aware of where they're going to be.
There's also only 18 exhibits.
And there's only 4 of them. They're, like, talking to each other. Yeah. Like, why not just go piece to piece or something? I don't know. Especially when you're in this, like, sketchy place and you weren't even necessarily, like, told what was going on. They were just like, check this out. It's like a stranger being like, get in my van. He's like, come to my waxwork.
You're like,
it's fun here. And they're like, okay. So gullible.
So weird.
So then obviously we see the werewolf scene. And I'm sad that Tony was the first to go. I wish, like, we could have had a few more scenes with him. But, anyways, Tony dies in the werewolf scene. Then you see the werewolf. What do you expect to come next when you think of werewolves? Vampires. So, which character is that goes into the vampire display?
Our girl China.
China is checking out this vampire display. It looks like there's a Dracula type. And long hair.
He's hot.
Piercing and she's eyes. Horny. She's horny for him. So she doesn't even have an excuse for going into the fucking display. At least Tony's like, it's just my lighter.
I gotta get it. So I can fucking
well, they're not going to care if I get my lighter.
Yeah.
It's like...
China just is like, I want to go
fuck this wax man.
And she's transported. She's in like a poofy little white dress. Gothic.
Is immediately descending a staircase. Mm-hmm. There's a pentagram above her. A skylight pentagram. Like moody gothic atmosphere. Mm-hmm. She's descending the staircase. Everything's like stone. And there's a huge dining table with giant chairs all around. And the guy in the display is sitting at one end of the table. And China is going to be sitting at the other end with all of the like kids and the wife in between.
Yeah. Fun fact, apparently Drew Barrymore is one of the vampires in this.
Really?
Or she at least makes a quick cameo. That's like one of the facts that I like skimmed on because
she would be like relatively unknown at this point, right? 1988.
I don't know. I mean, she might have been like
I think of her as 90s.
It was like it's weird. Like she was young, but it said that she was friends with the director, so she couldn't have been that young. Yeah, unless the director's like creepy and is friends with like 14-year-olds.
I mean, he's a director.
Touche.
While she's walking down the stairs, the Dracula type guy, he's like, "Oh, you decided to join us." He's like, "Sorry, your fiancé is in the basement. He wasn't feeling too well or something."
Yeah, I don't even think.
And all of a sudden, I was like. So, at least Tony gets transported and he's alone. Mm-hmm. It's like he just gets like the spawn point for the werewolf world is just like in the woods alone. But the spawn point for the vampire world is you're walking down the stairs heading towards this fucking vampire. So she is immediately forced to interact with the vampire fam.
Yeah. And he like mind controls her.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah.
He, almost immediately.
If you stare into a vampire's eyes, they have a power over you. So he's like luring her in.
And then she is served like a plate of chunks of raw meat.
Bloody meat.
And then the like butler, the vampire butler, pours the quote-unquote sauce for the dish, which is very obviously just blood, and she's like eating it and shit, and they all like are just like eating it like
with their hands
like
nasty,
being really
like,
gross,
being nasty.
And then she's just like, okay, I don't remember if she eats all of it or if she just like throws up.
What happens is they're like, we can't eat until you eat. Or whatever, so this is like my biggest nightmare, by the way. I hate dining.
Wait, like nightmare as in you're being forced to eat mystery meat?
I'm at like...
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you're at a formal dinner setting where you're uncomfortable or something. And they're like, all right, eat your food. And then I'm
your food's out first.
And then I'm just like, oh, I'll wait. And they're like, no, you can't wait. Like, you have to eat first. Eat, and we're gonna watch. And then I'd be like, I I don't know if I'm into this, and then I'd excuse myself from the Olive Garden.
Everyone in the Olive Garden is just standing and watching Craig frozen in time until he eats one breadstick.
When you're here, your family.
But
so.
But China's not in an Olive Garden. Okay.
So, she tries to say, be polite, and be like, I don't know why this bitch is trying to be polite, but she's like, oh, no thanks, I don't like steak tartare. And he's like, ha ha ha, steak tartare. At least that's how it comes off.
Basically.
He's like, yes, steak tartare, enjoy. So, he's like...
He does do that, basically. He's like, yeah, sure, steak tartare.
Yeah, so...
So you know she's eating her fucking fiance.
Yes, and I swear she, like, goes to take a bite, and then he stops her again. He's like, I'm like, just eat it. He's like, oh, but the dish is not complete without the sauce. And then the butler, there's lots of butlers.
Yeah, there's a lot of butlers.
And then the butler shows up and pours this, like, bloody sauce on the dish. And, oh, yeah, she doesn't eat it. She, like, puts it in her mouth, pretends to chew it, and then spits it in
a napkin.
In all these napkins.
Then she goes to bed, and, like, she is attacked by Dracula's son, and then she runs away. She ends up, like, in the kind of, like, basement kitchen area where she sees her in the, like, this isn't her real fiance, this is her, like, in-world fiance strapped to a table, and, like, his leg, so he's, like, alive.
Restrained to a table.
Yeah. His leg has been, like, picked at, like, it's basically, like, one leg is, like, all of the meat's been, like, ripped from it.
Except for the foot. So, it's foot with skin on it, and then bloody bone where your, like, shin is, and then it's, like, the rest of his leg from the knee up.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, they're eating him slowly, but keeping him alive, so the meat is, like, still fresh. It's, like, so gross.
Yeah, it's so
and
gross.
This is, like, one of my favorite scenes I've seen in, like, any horror movie, where the rat starts eating his leg. Like, he starts, so they're looking at him laying on the table, and he's like, help me. He's like, untie me or something, like, talking to her. And she's like, what's going on? He's like, they're vampires, like, they're coming, we gotta leave, or something like that. He's, like, just talking to her really hurriedly, and then he starts screaming out of nowhere. You're like, what the fuck? And then it shows his leg, and there's a rat, like, chewing on his leg. And he's like, God. Get him off! He's, like, screaming.
And she's like, ah!
And that, like, scene, I'm like, my skin is crawling. I'm like, oh!
It's so gross.
It's so gross.
And then he kind of just, like, explains how to kill a vampire, which is, like, making a cross and all that fun stuff. So, and wooden stake through the heart. So, China actually, like, shows some badassery, and she manages to kill the son and all three, like, vampire daughters, one of which including, apparently, Drew Barrymore. And, she kills all of them. Her fiance becomes a vampire because before she kills all the vampires, one of them sucks his blood.
So the interaction with the son vampire, I would say, is pretty notable too, because the son comes in and then she makes a cross or whatever with, like, the knives, and then touches it to his forehead, and his head explodes, right?
Oh, yeah, it does.
And, like, splatters all over the room. Like, she, like, pushes the thing to his forehead, it burns it into his...
Yeah.
Does it explode?
Yes, it explodes.
Okay.
It explodes because she gets covered in blood. That's how she gets covered in blood.
One of the coolest kills in the vampire scene was one of the female vampires being pushed onto all of the champagne bottles, and the champagne bottles going through her chest and spraying champagne everywhere.
Oh my god, that was really cool.
So there was a champagne impalement in the vampire scene, which I would say is up there with some of the coolest kills in this movie.
Yeah.
And then she makes her way back to like the beginning of the vampire scene where she's coming down the stairs. She's back on the stairs again, and the final like vampire Dracula, if you will, is like seducing her. Like,
yeah, he like
staring at her.
immediately like hypnotizes her basically.
She like shows her neck to him, and it kind of like falls into his arms. He like lays her down and basically starts drinking her blood, and it's very like sexual vampire vibes.
And then we're like transported out of that world, and Mark and Sarah are like, where the fuck are they? they just are like, what? So
yeah, they're just like, wow, I guess they left without telling us. Or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess they just left. Maybe we should leave too. Yeah, let's just leave. So
they
like,
leave.
Leave the waxwork without any more investigating. Go to school. They're like, wow, they're still not in school. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like a whole scene the next day in school, right?
Yeah. Oh, but before that... Wait. Before that... Okay, so China, like, has this relationship with some, like, dumb jock. I don't even know his name.
I thought China was Mark's girlfriend.
China is Mark's girlfriend, but he's mad at her because she's also, like, hooking up with other people. They're very open, I guess. China has a thing with some jock dude. And he and China were supposed to, like, hang out. And he's, like, super pissed. And he, I guess, recalls them talking about a waxwork or whatever. Because he breaks into the waxwork. And then comes face to face with the David Lincoln dude, and he looks at the display that has the Phantom of the Opera.
He is like, oh, sweet, it's the Curse of the Phantom or something.
Yeah, like...
He's like, what does he say?
I don't know if they say outright, like, Phantom of the Opera, but it's implied. Like, he has the mask and all that shit.
He's like, oh, that's sweet. He's like being a bro, and Mr. David
Lincoln
David Lincoln shows up behind him, and he's like, hello, are you lost? And the guy's like, what's up, dude? No, I'm just checking out your digs. Nice Curse of the Phantom Opera thing. It's sick. I love the movie. And then David Lincoln's like, they made a movie of the Phantom of the Opera? And he's like, yeah, like 5 of them. Or something like that. And then the guy David Lincoln just pushes him into the display. He's like, fuck this guy. Or is that what happens?
Yeah,
or is he
basically.
Like,
no,
or he's like, you should have a closer look, and he pushes him in.
Like, it's so hard because I feel like he does say the line, why don't you take a closer look? Like, no, he says, a bunch of times.
He says, would you like a closer look?
And then he, like, shoves him in. And a few seconds later, we see him appear in the waxwork as, like, a figure. And he's, like, I think he's just, like, a cop or something, like, on, like, maybe, like, the Phantom, like, beat him over the head with the... We don't see his death, like, we don't see it actually happen, but...
You just see him get pushed in, and we never go with him to the world.
Yeah.
We remain in our world where the waxwork is, and you're just with David Lincoln post pushing this guy in. And it's like you're David Lincoln watching him appear in the waxwork display. Yeah.
Since their friends are still missing, like, Mark decides he's going to go to the police because they feel like something fishy is up. So when he goes to the detectives, he like specifically talks to this cop named Inspector Roberts. And they go
yeah,
to...
I do remember this scene now.
And they go to, like, investigate or whatever. And, I think that, and they talk to, like, David Lincoln for a little bit. And he's just like, I haven't seen anyone here unless they were breaking and entering or whatever. Like, he's, like playing it cool or whatever. But he almost shoves, the cop into the display. But, he's like, nah. And then,
Yeah, so he asked the cop, would you like a closer look? And he's like, no, dude, like, get your fucking hands off me, bro. I don't like the way you're touching me. And then they're like, okay, you get away this time. So the cop gets away.
And then he comes back, like, literally, like, 2 seconds later with,
Because he's back at the police station. He's thinking about all these missing people. He's looking at the missing persons flyers and pictures and such. And he's remembering, he has a flashback to seeing these people's faces in the museum, and he can't stop thinking about it. So then he goes back to the waxwork without telling his partner.
No, his partner drives him.
Oh, his partner drives him to the waxwork. He goes in, he's staring the dead people right in the face, and he's like, these have to be wax figurines. I'm going to stab one of them and take a piece of it for examination.
So he stabs
stabs a fucking switchblade into China's crusty ass face, and it scrapes like wax at first, and then it just snaps a piece off, like a brittle piece of wax, and it looks bloody. There's like musculature on the back of it. It's fucked up.
It's gross.
He tries to like pierce it with his knife and place it into the examining bag, but his hand is like shaking and like he can't get it, like he can't poke it. And then you can see, like you can feel the actor just give up and just put the knife down and pick it up with his bare hand and put it in the bag. And I'm just like,
so funny.
I'm like, this cop is just fucking touching this dead bitch's skin. Maybe he just thought it was wax though, but
yeah, I think he just I don't know, he definitely noticed something fishy with it, but he just like kind of gave up. He was just like, fuck it. Unfortunately, before he can do anything with this evidence, our boy David Lincoln pushes him into a mummy display, and we actually get transported into that world. So the police investigator dude is now an archaeologist, and they're uncovering an ancient mummy tomb or whatever. He's with an old man, like young woman, and like a caricature of like an Egyptian man, basically. Like,
yeah.
And like a guide. But he's like, what the fuck? But then, like, immediately there's a, like, super scary mummy that's, like, vomiting up, like, black sludge and shit. And
yeah, the black sludge was a good touch.
And, he steps on the, like, guide's head, and it explodes.
Oh, yeah.
He's walking really slow. And they're all, like, freaking the fuck out. So they're, like, they're trapped in this tomb, and they're like, oh my god. And the, like, older man tries to, like, stab him, but the, like, pole thing that he uses, like, gets stuck in the mummy, and then the mummy just, like, picks him up and stabs him with the thing that's like
stabs him
through
onto
already.
his body. Shish kebab.
Yeah. And then he grabs the woman and throws her into the tomb that also has a different mummy and a snake. And then he grabs the cop and throws him into the tomb with the woman and the snake and shuts the tomb.
Yeah, not my favorite kill, really. But The Mummy was cool.
Yeah, The Mummy was pretty cool.
But that one's weird because, like, when you go back to the display, I'm assuming you don't see any of the people who were dead.
Yeah.
Because they're trapped. You see the mummy close the tomb on them. So they're in the tomb just dead.
Yeah. So his backup, is like, what the fuck? And he, like, goes inside the Waxwork, and our boy Junior snaps his neck, and then David gets pretty mad at him because he's like, bro, we could have, like, used him. And he's like crying and shit, and then David's like, God. It's fine. Weird scene.
This scene is so weird. I love it though.
Mark takes Sarah to the attic of his house where he keeps all of his grandfather's, like, weird shit, basically. They find, like, a book that sort of, like, or no, it's like a newspaper detailing the murder of his grandfather, which we saw in the, like, cold open, and shows the suspect, who is David Lincoln, who's the guy that it has the waxwork or whatever. So he's like, what the fuck? And then they go to Mark's grandfather's friend, Sir Wilfrid, who is a collector of all things. Like, he has, like, a fuck ton of shit, and he just, like, is, like, this... He's British, right? Like...
I don't know. I would say he's, like, the stereotype of, like, big game hunter / the type of dude who would just, like, buy stolen African artifacts. Yeah. He's, like, obsessed with just, like, pillaging other cultures for their, like, rare artifacts and shit. So, he has, like, quite a hefty collection of trinkets, if you will.
And, he, after Mark sort of lays out, like, the situation, this dude gives us the entire backstory of, like, everything basically that the audience needs to know. This dude provides.
When Mark goes to this guy, he explains that him and Mark's grandfather rather, were adventurers, basically. They traveled the world collecting trinkets. That's the word they use.
Collecting.
Their word, not mine.
Also the word.
Their word, not mine.
Instead of stealing.
Collecting trinkets that were owned by the 18 most evil men to ever have lived. So, I don't know why. I don't know why they want to collect these trinkets by the 18 most evil man.
Or evil things, like, or 18,
evil beings.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Those 18 people include a horde of zombies, a family of vampires, a demonic baby, a werewolf, which I'm like, that isn't the original werewolf. Like,
yeah.
You know, like, a werewolf is, like, a thing. It's, like, a disease that's spread. It's, like, you bite someone, they turn into a werewolf. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know why this one
it's like being possessed, I guess, by an evil spirit.
It's like being bitten by a zombie.
Yeah.
But it's just, like, why is this one of the most evil people that ever lived? This werewolf. What about all the others? So, and another one of them is Marquis de Sade, who was, like, a philosopher and is where the word, like, sadism comes from.
Yeah.
It's, like, pervert, sexual deviancy. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's a rogues gallery. universal horror monsters mixed with real life murderers and philosophers and aliens and all kinds of horror tropes. So,
he explains that the goal is to have all 18 evil beings need to have 18 victims in order to be re-released into the world and, like, walk again, basically, like, in real life, like, to break out of, like, their current universes or dimensions or whatever. And the reason why it's 18 is because 18 divided by 3 is 666, so there's lots of, like, yeah. Oh, yeah, and, this dude is like, yeah, David Lincoln made a deal with the devil, and basically using, like, deal with devil magic and, like, some voodoo vibes and making effigies and all of this shit. This is how it's all possible that he's doing this. And he needs 2 more victims, basically.
Because
our boy Sir Wilfred tells them they need to just, like, burn down the wax museum before 2 more victims get claimed and this realm of evil gets unleashed upon the world. So Mark and Sarah go back, and they're like, fuck, we gotta do it from, like, the inside because, like, we don't want to, like, get arrested for arson, basically. So they go inside and, like, basically almost immediately get caught and thrown into the exhibits.
Yeah.
So first is Mark.
He's thrown into a Night of the Living Dead, like George A. Romero Night of the Living Dead type world. Everything goes black and white. The whole movie is black and white for a minute. And he's just running, and it's like the opening cemetery scene. He's just running through the cemetery. Zombies are chasing him. But he says, I'm just in the display. None of this is real. They have no power over me. If I don't give them power and believe in them, then they can't hurt me. And then he, like, yells that at this horde of zombies, and they stop, like, coming towards him and, like, kind of scratch their head confused. And he's like, and here's the exit. I'm jumping out. And he, like, jumps out of the world and back into the waxwork room, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're all just like, fuck, he got out. Like, the junior and the little person and David. That ragtag crew, they're just like, fuck.
And he jumps into, so Sarah was pushed into the Marquis de Sade worlds, and
lucky her.
Yeah, and she becomes completely enraptured in the world. Basically, she is going to be whipped to death.
It seems like there's a human trafficking situation. Yeah. I don't know, like, any of you Marquis de Sade, like, biographers, like, at-home biographers, let us know, like, was his life like this? Because the way they're presenting this is, like, he is presenting a king with, like, prostitutes that he's going to torture and sell to the king as, like, sex slaves.
Yeah.
So he's, like, got this harem of women who are jealous that our girl Sarah is the one who gets to get whipped
to death.
And she's, like, screaming, but then asks for more.
Yeah, she's, like, into it. It's very weird.
Whip
not
daddy.
King shaming, but, you
Whip
know.
daddy.
So Mark comes to ruin the fucking party for everyone.
Yeah, she's, like, what does he say? She had an orgasm at the end of a whip.
Yeah.
So Sarah just got done having an
She's
orgasm at the
super
end
sweaty.
Yeah. She's like fine with this, honestly. She's
Yeah.
totally fine. Like, she does not need
But she's
saving.
probably, like, possessed. So that's probably why. But
so Mark shows up and he's like, Sarah, you gotta come with me! Or whatever. And she's like
no!
clutching Marquis de Sade's leg and is like, I'm not going with him. Don't let him take me. And Mark is just like, what the fuck? Damn, bitch. Like, I didn't know you were that much of a freak.
I don't even remember what he says to, like, I think he just is like, it's not real, you need to leave, you're possessed. And she's like, oh. And then they're like, yeah, we can leave, whatever. And Marquis de Sade's like, I'll remember this and I'll get my revenge or whatever. And Mark's just like, fuck off, bye.
Peace. They jump out.
And then they jump out and they immediately get caught. And I think they just get, like, restrained or whatever because their friends, Gemma and fucking James, are in the Waxwork, and they end up going into the displays, and they, like, immediately die, which completes the full cycle of all 18 victims that unleash the 18 monsters. So we start to see all of the monsters and all of the victims weirdly come to life, and the victims are on, like, the monsters side. So there's, like, a fuck ton of monsters and dead people and, like, people turned into aliens and, like, weird grandmas and babies. It's, like, just a fuck ton of random evil beings.
Conveniently, right at that moment, what's his name?
Sir Wilfrid.
Sir Wilfrid, the wheelchair-bound adventurer who has just come out of retirement with his band of geriatric soldiers.
Yeah, there's, like, maybe 40, like, old men.
It looks like these guys just, like, left a Civil War reenactment and, like, brought their muskets to this fucking waxwork to go to all-out war with 18 of the most evil beings.
There's more than 18
when there's, like,
beings.
200 fucking villains. There's, like, 200
Y'all, this last scene is so chaotic.
It's war. If you've ever seen that movie Mother, it's like that scene. It's like war inside a house. Like,
that's so true.
That's what this looks like. It's like a bunch of people, like, bombs going off, fucking, like, grenades and like, stabbing.
Okay, we have to talk about the fucking, like, one of the fucking old people grabs this, like, weird demonic baby, throws him against, like, a cage or something, and then someone else, like, either throws an explosive or shoots it, and it explodes into a million pieces. Do you remember that?
Yes.
It's so funny.
Either immediately before or immediately after that, one of the other, like, old dudes grabs a fucking bat out of the air. It's like a vampire. Grabs the fucking bat with his bare hand and holds a gun to the bat's head. And just shoots the fucking bat in the head. Like, the bat explodes. And I think the first time I watched that, I was like, this is what I'm going to do to that bat that started this COVID shit. It's going to be on site.
Oh my god. Like, they have to fight their friends. Well, I don't think we really see them fight Tony, but Mark has to fight China, who's, like, a vampire now. and he kills her.
Like, immediately, without hesitation.
Yeah, and he's like,
it's just
fuck
like,
you.
he's like, take that, bitch.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's
damn.
Like, damn.
I guess that's a
Is
fresh
Mark that-
wound from her cheating on you or whatever.
Yeah.
Did she even know you guys were dating? Damn, Mark.
Dude, Mark might be public enemy number 1.
Mark has issues.
He's got issues, dude. Yeah,
Jenkins
he saves him
Mark,
somehow.
but dies in the process, like gets stabbed. And Jenkins, the butler, his dying words are, well, he says, "We've got battles to win." And then he says, "Give my love to the missus. Get those bastards."
Rip to Jenkins!
Jenkins!
Even as do you think he was laying the pipe with Mark's mom?
Hell yeah.
Deaf. So, Marquis de Sade and Mark start having, like, a is it jousting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
no, not
fencing.
jousting. Fencing match.
They're dueling with long, skinny swords.
Mm-hmm. And Mark is not doing very great.
He keeps getting his sword knocked out of his hand, and then Marquis de Sade grabs it and then gives it back to him.
That's something I never get with those. Like, it's like, why are you, like, being I don't know, like, why is there rules like that? It doesn't seem like any of the other monsters are really, like, playing by the rules
No,
of the world.
No, it's not like that. He just wants to best Mark because Mark came in and, like, humiliated Marquis de Sade in front of his bitches or whatever. Yeah. So Mark shows up. He's like, he's not real. He can't even hurt us. And then they jump out of the display. And Marquis de Sade is like, I'm going to fucking remember this, you little bitch. I'm going to humiliate you. And then, so Marquis de Sade comes to life and he's in the waxwork. He's fucking public enemy number 1, Mark.
On site.
He's looking for that bitch because he knows it's about to be on site the second he sees him. And not only is he going to kill you, he's going to make you feel like a pussy bitch right before you die.
And that he does.
And then he's going to steal your girl.
But, well, he does make Mark feel like a pussy bitch, which is not that hard. But our girl Sarah comes to the rescue and kills Marquis de Sade with an axe, therefore solidifying the fact that Sarah will never have an orgasm again. Yeah. Especially
he was shocked, though, when it was Sarah that killed him.
Yeah, he was like, girl.
Girl.
But their Mark and Sarah's joyful reunion is short-lived because Lincoln arrives with a gun and he's like, I'm just gonna kill y'all.
That he doesn't know how to use very well.
Yeah, well, okay, but what happens is that he's like about to shoot them and kill them, and our boy Sir Wilson somehow, what does he use to kill?
He either uses a
he gets shot.
Crossbow. Either uses a crossbow or a harpoon or something. And
no,
shoots...
he just uses a gun. It says.
Really?
Yeah. For some reason, it felt like more badass.
He shoots David Lincoln like in the arm or the neck.
No, like he shoots him like it's like a kill shot, but.
And the gun is it's an automatic gun that David Lincoln is holding, and he's about to start shooting them, and he gets shot, and then finger on the trigger is just spraying bullets all over the room, and they're like dodging the bullets, and it's slow-mo for a second, and then David Lincoln just dies. Well, he falls into the wax pit, molten wax pit in the basement of the waxwork. Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, our boy Sir Wilson, his head is ripped off of his body from behind by a mob. By a werewolf.
Oh, by a werewolf. Damn.
So tough stuff for our boy Sir Wilson.
Tough stuff.
It was pretty shit. It was like a pretty good kill. though.
Yeah, his head got pulled away.
Just like literally as if it was like a fucking piece of paper or something.
But also, David Lincoln, what I was going to say was he gets drowned and you think he's dead. And then he springs back up from the molten wax and grabs Mark, and he's like, "Would you like a closer look?" And then dies again.
Oh my god, which was so cheesy.
So cheesy.
But
that's supposed to be his like badass moment, but it's like
so bad.
It's so cheesy, and like his skin is kind of like waxy and got like nasty like burn looking shit on it, but it's not really that.
Yeah.
It's not like as gross as you would expect it to be.
So, after that, Mark and Sarah managed to burn down the wax museum, and I guess they're the only survivors of this event. I guess all of those old men die, because we don't see anyone else leaving. So, hard rip to the like 40 to 50 elderly men whose families are probably devastated.
I guess at least they were old.
Yeah, true. They lived.
They lived a little.
Yeah. So, as Mark and Sarah leave, we notice one of the... Oh, fuck. Well, it doesn't really matter that I'm saying this out of order, but when Mark was in the, like, zombie world, he cut off the hands of, like, one of the zombies and accidentally... Somehow it got, like... Oh, I guess it just got, like, brought in when, like, all of the, like... evil spirits were being released, like the disembodied hand for some reason was included in that ragtag bunch, and it was just crawling in the grass, like, so it's like noted that the like one Waxwork like evil spirit is still out there. So
it was like a zombie hand,
yeah,
right?
It was zombie hand. So yeah. So, and the rest is probably laid out in Waxwork 2, which maybe we'll watch one day.
Which we watched the trailer for, and
yeah.
It looks fucking insane.
The trailer was a lot to take in, honestly. I honestly kind of want to fucking watch it now, but...
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, we probably will. We can go into the kills, but not... I feel like it's sort of different because this is the first, like, not really slasher movie that we're reviewing. It's more like...
It's a movie unlike any other movie.
Yeah. There's a lot that goes on, so I guess, like, instead of just, like, renaming every, like, person who died... basically, because like a lot of the deaths you don't really see on screen anyways, and honestly my favorite kills are the ones that like don't involve like the main characters really. But...
yeah, same. A few of my favorites are the werewolf splitting the head in half was brutal. The witch getting shoved onto the champagne bottles and them exploding through her chest. I liked that one a lot. I liked the demonic baby and the bat. Those were both really funny and back to back. We'll just call that tiny creatures getting their heads exploded scene. So that one was good. Mummy crunching on head was good. I think of those, my favorite kill is probably the werewolf head rip. Because it just came, like, it was the first one that was, like, that graphic, other than the opening sequence where the guy's head gets thrown into the fireplace.
Oh, yeah.
The werewolf scene is the first kill in, like, present day in the movie, not a flashback. And... the amount of gore was shocking, and the whole scene was just shocking. That's when the movie, like, it's like, alright, this movie's picking up now.
Yeah. So those are all like really great. I think my favorite kill would either be the vampire dude's head exploding. This wasn't really a kill, but I just like loved the fiance in the vampire scene and like his gore and shit. It was super
Oh
brutal.
yeah.
And I guess he did eventually die, but we don't see him die. But like, it's implied. So that was good. And then I don't know. I think honestly my favorite death was within the like crazy battle scene. There was like so many fucking good ones. It's like really, really chaotic. But gotta give it up for Sir Wilson getting his head ripped off by a werewolf, just like boop, like
That was your
with
favorite?
such ease. Yeah, because it was sort. I mean, also it just was like weirdly funny to
Yeah.
um
What would you say is your favorite world that we go into in the movie?
that we go into. I think I gotta give it up for the vampire display, honestly. I like really liked the costumes and like the style and cinematography, and like I mean I just like vampires in general. Like there's something like sexy and like weird about it. And I also liked the character China a lot. And I liked like the reveal of the fiance, and just the setting in general of that world was like really cool. And there's some like gross out shit there, like the raw meat and the fiance's leg and the rat and stuff. So I would say that was my favorite world slash scene that we were transported into. What would you say was yours?
That's a really great one. I want to say that my favorite one was the Night of the Living Dead one, just because I like that one they changed the film from color to black and white. Yeah, so in case it wasn't already obvious, like when the character steps into the world, it's like you're watching an entirely different movie. Mm-hmm. So by the time you get to the Night of the Living Dead scene, it's like that much more apparent because they change the color of the film. Like they changed it from color film to black and white. So it was a cool like throwback to Night of the Living Dead because it's so distinct that movie was like black and white horror. Also like zombies in general, even though that's such a short sequence.
Yeah.
I would say a runner up would probably be the werewolf one.
Yeah, that's a great scene too.
I've just been into werewolves lately.
Yeah.
Ever since I watched Silver Bullet recently.
Yeah, we need to watch I really want to watch isn't Ginger Snaps a werewolf movie?
Yeah, that's like a 90s werewolf movie.
Maybe we can watch that after this. But what would you say would be a world or a character that you wish the film explored more? Because there is like obviously like we only see like zombie, Desaad, werewolf, vampire. We only see 4 of the 18 world. Oh wait, and mummy. We only see 5 of the and Phantom of the Opera. But we don't even really see that.
You don't go in that world.
Yeah, so let's just say 5 we see like the full world out of 18. So what would be the one that you would like to be transported into? Not that you would like to be transported into to become a victim, but would have liked to see, or maybe become a victim too. I don't know. Open for interpretation.
I'm most curious about what you keep referring to as a monkey. And I keep referring to as an alien baby. Because there's this one, like, shot of a, like, scary looking gray E.T. looking motherfucker trapped in a cage, and I don't know
in
what
like
they're.
a circus vibes. Like the guy that's
Is it?
the guy that's the victim is like dressed in a ringleader outfit, basically.
Anyways, it's like a chupacabra or something. Maybe it's not even an alien. Maybe it's the chupacabra. But I want to see that thing. And there was also, I don't know if it was Frankenstein or what, but there was like a big tall guy that looked like also gray. Did you notice any other standout ones? Oh, wait. I gotta give shouts out to Demonic Baby, too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, whatever it was like a weird combo. It was like this demonic baby on like a grandma, but like not a grandma.
Was it like a nun?
Something weird like it was just like basically. I just want to know what those two are all about. Basically, I just like need to know more about that. And then I guess a runner up. I would have liked to see, like, I don't know, definitely one of the more, like, a scarier one. Like, the baby one is just, like, because we were both very tickled by it, and I feel like it would have been a funny one. But I would have liked to see, like, a Frankenstein's monster type thing, or like, I don't know, maybe the axe murderer, but I don't know, something like scary, like.
The Marquis de Sade just seems like such a weird choice.
It was so weird.
Like, why is this, out of all of the different scary worlds you could show, why are you showing this Zorro motherfucker, Antonio Banderas looking motherfucker, like, whipping a bitch?
Yeah, it was a choice, especially, I mean, like, this is the thing, like, me and Craig don't know that much about Marquis de Sade, like, other than a quick Wikipedia search, but, like, there's nothing about it stating, like, facts that, like, he was, like, a sex trafficking, murderer that would, like, murder sex workers and shit with whips. So I think it just was like
he was like a philosopher.
He was like a sex. He liked talked about sex and shit and like anal sex and
taboo. Like,
yeah.
Sadism, whipping, like, pleasure out of pain and shit. And eating excrement.
Mm-hmm. But all things that, you know, like, we're not kink shaming here. But
hey,
if someone knows something about Marquis de Sade that we don't know, like, please tell us. But I mean, it was just weird.
By today's standards, we could be in the top 18 most evil beings.
We know you all want to be transported into. What would me and your realm look like?
Our realm would be like we're watching a movie with you and you're like trying to pay attention, but every 5 minutes we keep like referencing one character that didn't even matter that much to the plot and like one line that they said
and you
over and over again. And then later when like it's time to talk about the movie, when the movie's not playing, we can't remember any of the important parts of the plot.
And then you die.
Yeah.
I would, I think that's very good. I would also say that maybe our world is like, you're like transported as a Fortnite character, and me and you are playing Fortnite, and we're like, we kill you in the video game. So you
so
and then like the wax display will just be like me and Craig on the couch, like hunchbacked, like staring at the screen with like number
killing
one
you.
Victory Royale like on the TV. So the rating system we're gonna use today is trinkets, and it's going to be 18 trinkets of the most
evil
beings
from history.
From history. I might give this one a... I think I'll give it, I think I might, I don't know, I think I might give it 18.
18 out of 18 trinkets?
Yeah.
Are you shitting me? That's a perfect movie.
I know. Y'all, I am not kidding you. This movie has everything. It has everything you could ever need, honestly. As someone that loves movies and absolutely loves when movies are fucking, like, meta as fuck, like, self-referential, like, sort of, like, and this was, like, a goofy movie, but it also had, like, really good kills and gore, and, like, the plot was very bizarre and weird and kind of didn't make sense, but also they did do a good job of, like, kind of tying it all in a neat little bow for you. So, yeah, I'm gonna give this 18 coins. My world is...
18 coins?
Trinkets. They're coins, though.
Thank God. No, they're trinkets.
Okay, 18 trinkets. So my world is now entirely overrun by demonic baby, and...
Yeah, you completed it.
I completed it.
You got all 18 trinkets.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to give it 18 trinkets, but I do love this movie. I feel like I could watch this movie, like, an unlimited amount of times and not get tired of it. So I'm going to give it 15 trinkets out of 18 trinkets. Fair. So almost perfect.
Yeah. What would you say this movie needs to... what would you say are, like, the faults?
It would be cooler if different worlds were explored and more in-depth. I don't necessarily think that Marquis de Sade was the best person to have as being, like, a main villain. It's
Fair.
like Marquis de Sade is the main villain of the, like...
Yeah.
18 trinkets killers. Let's call them. You know, he's, like, the one who you come back to. Mm-hmm. There's, like, two characters directly involved with him, you know, like Sarah is, like, drawn to him, and then Mark and him have beef. So I would probably just take him out completely. Even though I love that actor, he was good in the movie, and the whole, like, sexy whipping thing was cool, but, like, I think all of that could have been achieved. Like, get the sexiness out of the way with the Dracula shit, and then just have, like, one of them be off the wall, batshit crazy, like the alien baby or demonic baby, or
there's, like, a weird plant thing going on.
Yeah, like
there is
killer
a lot.
plant.
Yeah, there's a lot that could have been explored.
So, I think I mean, it's not a big deal, but I'll knock off a few points for that. Yeah. I think it is. I think it could be improved upon, maybe in Waxwork too.
Yeah, we're gonna have to, you know, let y'all know how that viewing goes. I do know that the actress that plays Sarah, and the director had a pretty nasty breakup. So that is why she's not in Waxwork 2.
We've done the first 3 Friday the 13th episodes. We're going in order through the whole series, including the remake and Freddy vs. Jason. So the format as of right now is going to be, we're going to do a set of 3 episodes and then have a little break and do a movie outside of the franchise, such as Waxwork. Who knows what the next one will be? Maybe another slasher, maybe something completely unexpected. You'll have to see. But for the next 3 movies, we're going to be doing Friday the 13th Part 4. And that is the final chapter. Then we're going to be doing, Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. Sure. Then we're going to be doing Friday the 13th Part 5, which is A New Beginning. And that's one I haven't seen before. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see that. It's very divisive. Apparently has a copycat killer instead of Jason. Because, he died, remember?
Final chapter.
Yeah. And then we'll be talking about Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, which might just be one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies.
And it might just be one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies as well.
And then we'll have a break and so on. We'll do
until
all
the
of
end.
them until they're done. And then that'll be the end of this season of Murders per Gallon of Popcorn.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll, probably record more, but in bulk so that we don't have to fucking stress out about recording this every week and editing it. But y'all don't need to know about that. So, alright, y'all. Well, that's it that we have for now. Highly encourage this watch. Please watch it. Please watch Waxwork. It's so good. Bye.
Bye.